It just keeps getting worse. The Ravens just got another major injury scare, and this time it is one of the most important young players on the entire defense. Nate Wiggins was carted off on practice on Tuesday after guarding Jacoby Lane in a one-on-one, and he appeared to be in serious pain. He couldn't put any weight on his left leg, and he had to be helped into the facility by members of the training staff. And while the Ravens don't have a diagnosis yet, and Jesse Minter said there is still some optimism, obviously this is not what you want to see based on what happened with Zay Flowers last week, and not what you want to see first preseason game only being a couple days away against the Philadelphia Eagles. And if Wiggins does have to miss time, it could have a major impact on this cornerback room, especially for a player like TJ Tampa, who has quietly been having a really solid training camp. So let's break down what happened to Nate Wiggins, what we know right now, and what this could mean for the Baltimore Ravens secondary. But before we get into today's video, you guys are going to want to make sure to subscribe to Ravens Digest. 70% of you guys are not subscribed to Ravens Digest. It is completely free, no price at all, and we're providing daily Baltimore Ravens updates, rumors, and all things Baltimore Ravens. You guys are not going to want to miss out on the content we are providing on a daily basis. But let's start what happened about Nate Wiggins and how he went down. Nate Wiggins suffered the injury during practice while covering Jacoby Lane during a one-on-one drill, and Wiggins was defending Lane on a deep ball where he went down in the end zone. It appeared that he was an injury to his left leg or his left knee, and this is one of those situations where a player usually gets up, walks it off, and moves to the next drill, but Nate Wiggins was in some significant pain. Trainers had to help him, came over, and eventually he had to be taken off in a cart. ESPN had reported that Nate Wiggins was unable to put any weight on the injured leg when he was heading into the team facility, and he also had his arms draped around members of the training staff as they helped him inside the building. Even GM Eric DeCosta and Jesse Minter both went to go check up on Nate Wiggins before he left the field, and at that point, everybody is kind of waiting for some kind of update regarding Nate Wiggins and his health, and as of right now, the Baltimore Ravens don't know what they're dealing with, and this is probably the biggest thing to emphasize about this situation as a whole, because Jesse Minter in his press conference didn't have much information to give. He said, "Don't have a ton of information on it yet. We'll get a look at it and see where it's at." So the Ravens were still waiting to test Nate Wiggins. There's not a diagnosis on him or a timeable return yet. And this is probably the most important factor right now because Minter said there is some optimism surrounding the situation. So while Wiggins got carted off and is very concerning, we still don't know how serious the injury is. And the next step is getting the results on the test of his leg and finding out exactly what Baltimore is really dealing with about Nate Wiggins' injury. But this one really hurts regarding Nate Wiggins because as we know, Nate Wiggins is entering his third season and he is already a very established piece on the Baltimore Ravens defense. As a rookie, he was very huge in terms of having production for us. And last season, he even had a bigger role playing in all 17 games and had 76 total tackles with 3 interceptions. So this isn't a younger cornerback trying to find his place. We know that Nate Wiggins was supposed to be a key contributor this season, and he is coming off of a season where he was seeing the field every single game and has established himself as a major piece in the secondary alongside those other guys like Kyle Hamilton and Marlon Humphrey. And this is why the Baltimore Ravens would obviously love to avoid losing him for a significant amount of time because if he does miss time, somebody else is going to have to step up in that cornerback room. And this is where it really gets interesting in terms of the cornerback room because Nate Wiggins is supposed to be our outside starting corner. And as we know, the secondary already has talent with Malachi Starks and Kyle Hamilton. But if Nate Wiggins misses a lot of time, it could create opportunities for the players behind him. And one of the players that I'm very interested to see if he benefits from, if Nate Wiggins is down for an extended period of time, it is going to be TJ Tampa because TJ Tampa has quietly been putting together a very solid training camp. And this is what makes the situation so much more interesting because before the injury, Tampa was already making an impression during our training camp reps and earning more opportunities. And if Nate Wiggins has to miss a significant amount of time, these opportunities could get more efficiently and be more effective in terms of Nate Wiggins because Tampa doesn't suddenly need to become Nate Wiggins in a sense. He just needs to be consistent, keep doing what he's been doing throughout training camp, make plays, stay very consistent, and show the coaching staff that they could trust him. And with the preseason game against the Eagles coming up and the rest of the preseason games, if he gets these more first-team rep and preseason rep opportunities, this could be a massive opportunity for him to have a case for a bigger role going into the season. And this is not just about training camp as a whole. One player's unfortunate injury can really change the opportunity for these other cornerbacks in the room. And another cornerback such as Bilal Cohen, who faced an injury last season, is competing for opportunities within this secondary. And within the secondary, the Baltimore Ravens already have a lot of depth, but Nate Wiggins is obviously a different player that is fighting for that role. And he is such a capitalist piece for the Baltimore Ravens that if Nate Wiggins is down for an extended period of time, it will definitely be a heartbreak for the Baltimore Ravens and Baltimore Ravens fans. And in terms of having depth with these players like Bilal Cohn and TJ Tampa, the focus is not replacing Nate Wiggins and his capabilities. It is about stepping up while Baltimore figures out what is next for Nate Wiggins. And with the first preseason game coming up on Saturday night against the Philadelphia Eagles, this situation could really have a direct impact on how Baltimore handles the rotations of the cornerbacks to try and see these reps and what pieces you have other than Nate Wiggins going into the Baltimore Ravens season. But as we know, the preseason is finally here and is finally approaching. And on Saturday at 7 o'clock at M&T Bank Stadium, the Ravens are going to take on the Eagles in a first preseason game. And now all of the eyes are really on this cornerback room. If Nate Wiggins is not able to go, it is going to give players like TJ Tampa even more chances to show what they can do. And this is where preseason football becomes very, very important, because these games are not just about starters as we know. These are players who are fighting to be trusted within the regular season and players who are fighting for that camp spot and that depth chart spot. And for TJ Tampa and these younger corners, it really could be an opportunity for them to make a case for a depth chart spot. But before we get into who could talk about and replace Nate Wiggins, there's one thing that really matters, and it is getting this answer on what the severity of this injury is regarding Nate Wiggins, and if Nate Wiggins will come back this season in the next couple of weeks and be a piece that can be healthy for the regular season. Because this is the reality. Nate Wiggins was carted off. He couldn't put any weight on his left leg, which is very concerning, and he had to be helped into the facility by team members. These are all obvious concerning signs for the Baltimore Ravens, but Jesse Minter did say he sees a bit of optimism in terms of the injury and the severity of the injury. So until Baltimore finishes the testing on what Nate Wiggins' injury is and what the diagnosis is, there's no reason to jump into any conclusions on how serious and if it is a season-ending injury. The Baltimore Ravens need to figure out exactly what happened before they determine and let the media know if Nate Wiggins will miss the season and how much time Nate Wiggins will miss going into the year. So now we wait on the injury update of Nate Wiggins, and hopefully it is something minor and we're not looking at a situation where Baltimore is going to have to be without one of the best young players in the league, not only on the Ravens, but in the league and also in the corner department. And if he is out for an extended period of time, we see players on the Baltimore Ravens cornerback room that you can keep your eye on, such as TJ Tampa. He's already had a pretty solid camp, and the biggest opportunity he could have this offseason is in the preseason to show what he could really do. But we're going to see what happens regarding Nate Wiggins and see if Nate Wiggins can go back into that form. Do you think that Nate Wiggins will be away for an extended period of time? Do you think that Nate Wiggins will be all right? Let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to Ravens Digest if you are new, and turn on post notifications because we are going to keep you updated on everything that is happening with Nate Wiggins, with the Ravens throughout the preseason, and with the Ravens throughout the entire regular season. But thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video. And until then, Ravens flock always.